Have you ever wondered why the more you chase something, the farther it seems to slip away, as if life itself were always one step ahead, quietly laughing at your hurry? What if I told you there's a law, hidden in plain sight, that explains exactly why that happens? A law so powerful that when used correctly, everything you seek begins to seek you. This isn't another video about positive thinking or empty affirmations. What you're about to discover is a complete reversal of the logic you were taught, a shift in your inner field that turns effort into magnetism. By the end of this video, you won't just feel inspired, you'll have a clear action to take today, and you'll feel the universe respond effortlessly. Comment below, "I release control and trust the flow of life." That phrase opens the field for everything that's about to happen here. To understand why reality seems to resist us the moment we want something the most, we have to look beyond the surface, beyond effort, logic, and willpower. And no one understood this more deeply than Jacobo Grinberg, the Mexican neuroscientist who challenged the known laws of the mind and mysteriously disappeared after his boldest discoveries. Grinberg dedicated his life to investigating how consciousness shapes the world around us. His research, bridging spiritual traditions and quantum physics, revealed something unsettling. What we call reality is actually a projection of our mental field. The way you think, feel, and vibrate determines what shows up in your life, not as a metaphor, but as a direct reflection. Among his most revolutionary theories was the synthetic neuronal field, an invisible vibrational matrix that responds not to the words you say, but to the state you embody. In other words, you can say you trust, but if your body vibrates urgency, it's urgency that life will mirror back to you. In this video, we'll use that knowledge not just to reflect on it, but to test it consciously, with a real practice that can shift what comes your way within hours. There's a law hidden in plain sight. It's not in self-help books or productivity formulas. It's woven into the fabric of reality, quietly governing every manifestation in your life. This law, which we'll call the reverse law, doesn't respond to how much you want, pray, or fight for something. It responds to something far more subtle, your dominant frequency. You're already using this law. The problem is, you're probably using it backwards. Picture this. You desperately want something to happen. Maybe it's a message, an opportunity, a sale, a relationship. The more you think about it, the tighter your body gets. Your breath shortens, your mind races, your stomach clenches. You tell yourself you're confident, but your field vibrates urgency, scarcity, desperation. And what happens? Silence, resistance, nothing flows. That's the reverse law in action. It doesn't return your desire, it returns your dominant vibration. If your field is full of tension, fear, and doubt, that's exactly what reality multiplies. That's why so many people say, "I've done everything, but nothing changes." They think they're taking the right steps, saying the right words, following the right process, but they forget one truth. The universe doesn't respond to your text. It responds to your tone. It's like trying to tune into calm music on a radio locked to a war frequency. The signal distorts, and all you hear is noise. When you chase something anxiously, you're sending a subtle message to the field. "This isn't mine yet." And the field replies, "Then it won't be." But when you let go, when you stop interfering, when you live as if it's already on its way, the field recognizes this is natural and begins to rearrange everything around you to reflect that truth. The reverse law seems counterintuitive at first. We were taught that to get something, we must fight relentlessly for it. But the truth is, too much effort often blocks the natural flow. Desire becomes dependency, intention turns into obsession, and force becomes noise. Here's the key. When you push, you block. When you release, you attract. You've experienced this before. The moment you stopped obsessing over a message, it arrived. When you stopped controlling a conversation, the answer came. When you quit chasing something, it found you. That wasn't luck. That was the reverse law finally working the right way. The question now is, are you willing to stop forcing so you can finally start receiving? Most people think it's enough to ask with faith, repeat affirmations, visualize intensely, and the universe will obey. But reality isn't a waiter waiting for your order. It does respond, but not to words. It responds to the frequency you hold when no one's watching, when you're silent with your thoughts, when your body reveals what your mind tries to hide. You can say, "I am prosperous" 20 times a day. But if between those repetitions your chest is tight, your mind restless, your nervous system on alert, your dominant frequency isn't prosperity, it's fear, it's lack, and that's exactly what your energetic field will amplify. Grinberg spoke of this when he explored how the mind projects reality. What you see out there is only a reflection of your inner field. Your dominant emotional vibration acts as a silent command, unseen yet immensely powerful. It's picked up by what he called the synthetic neuronal field, which translates your vibration into concrete experiences. Here's the key. Reality isn't shaped by your isolated intention, but by the coherence between what you want and what you vibrate. When there's misalignment, wanting abundance but vibrating worry, the field reads the vibration, not the wish, and sends you more of the same. That's why people say, "I'm doing everything right," but nothing happens. They're visualizing, affirming, studying, yet vibrating scarcity, rush, and need. The universe doesn't answer the surface of your action. It responds to the undercurrent of your frequency. And there's an even subtler layer. The body is a more honest mirror than the mind. It reveals where your vibration truly is. Are you breathing deeply or shallowly? Are your shoulders relaxed or tense? Does your speech flow naturally or feel forced? The body exposes the frequency in charge, and that frequency commands the field that shapes your life. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop obsessing over what to say or do and start caring about the quality of your internal state, because it's that state that sends the silent signals the universe actually understands and responds to. The good news? You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be willing to adjust your emotional field before acting. Take a deep breath. Calm the urgency. Access the feeling of what you desire before you ask. Life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you already carry as emotional truth. And that's why, when you shift your frequency, you don't just change how you feel, you change what reality delivers. There's a quiet moment when the miracle almost happens, but doesn't. A moment when the answer was coming, the path was opening, alignment was ready. And then you interfered. You doubted. You pushed. You forced a result. And like a mirror, everything froze. That's the critical point where most people sabotage their own manifestations by interfering with what was already in motion. Conscious surrender isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing that once your intention is planted and your frequency tuned, the best thing you can do is protect the field, not disturb it with anxiety. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every day to check if it's growing. That doesn't speed growth. It weakens the roots. The same goes for your desires. When you keep checking the field, mentally asking if it's working, you're not manifesting. You're showing vibrational distrust, and reality mirrors that with more uncertainty. Conscious surrender is a powerful gesture. It communicates trust without demand. It tells the field, I know it's coming. I don't need to force. I don't need to prove. I just need to cooperate. To cooperate means to keep living with quality, to keep moving, but without mixing action with desperation. It's possible to act precisely, clearly, and calmly, without tension. In fact, that's when your actions gain the most power, when they come from alignment, not lack. Many people confuse surrender with passivity. If I let go, won't I lose everything? they ask. But true surrender isn't giving up on your intention. It's releasing the urgency to control the outcome. It's trusting that what you want also wants you, and it's already on its way as soon as you stop blocking its path. Think of the moments in your life when things unfolded almost magically. A reply out of nowhere, a yes that came after you forgot about it, a coincidence that fit everything together. What did those moments have in common? In each one, you had stopped interfering. That's not luck. That's the field responding to your state of surrender, not as weakness, but as vibrational intelligence. Conscious surrender is a practice. You'll feel the urge to interfere, to check, to control. But each time you choose trust, even for 1 minute longer, the field opens a little more, and what once seemed distant begins to approach on its own. Letting go isn't absence, it's presence without pollution. There's a sequence that, when honored, transforms any desire into real manifestation. 3 stages, 3 inner movements that form the complete cycle of conscious creation: intention, alignment, surrender. Each has a purpose. Each is essential. Intention is the seed, the starting point. It's when you declare to the field, "This is what I choose to experience." But remember, true intention isn't vague desire or disguised need. It's a clear, grounded inner stance. It doesn't come from urgency. It comes from conviction. You don't beg for what you desire. You inform the field. But an intention without vibrational support is like a seed thrown into dry soil. It won't sprout. That's where alignment comes in. This is the stage where you adjust your inner state to match what you asked for. You feel, act, and behave as someone for whom that outcome is natural. It's not pretending or fantasizing. It's embodying the version of you that already lives that reality. If your intention is, "I want financial stability," aligning means breathing like someone at peace with money, making decisions like someone who trusts in their prosperity, caring for the present with excellence instead of living in the waiting room of the future. But even with clear intention and strong alignment, things can still stall, and they usually stall at the 3rd stage, surrender. Surrender isn't giving up. It's letting go of the need to control the how and when. It's trusting the timing of the field and the intelligence of life. You remain present and active, but without carrying the weight of anxiety. You plant, you nurture, and you allow the fruit to ripen in its own time. The most common mistake: people plant in haste, align with tension, and try to harvest in desperation. The cycle breaks, and what could have bloomed rots in the soil of poorly managed expectation. That's why you must honor each stage. Plant with clarity, align with truth, harvest with inner stillness. The structure is simple, and that's what makes it hard. The challenge is staying calm in the middle of the process. That's the difference between those who manifest consistently and those who stay trapped in emotional turbulence. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to shouting, it responds to stable frequency. The quieter your confidence, the higher your vibration. And the higher your vibration, the faster everything rearranges to deliver what's already yours. That's the art. Planting with intention, cultivating with alignment, harvesting with surrender. You can have the best intentions and the purest goals, and still stay stuck if you're vibrating at the wrong frequency. Reality doesn't judge your intention. It only responds to your dominant vibration. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Scarcity, fear, and urgency are the 3 frequencies that block manifestations the most. Urgency, especially, is a subtle saboteur. You think you're acting with focus, but you're transmitting desperation. You're making quick decisions, but from a tight emotional field. Your body reveals it: short breath, tense muscles, racing thoughts. All of this tells the universe, it's not okay. And the universe obediently keeps giving you experiences that confirm that state. So how do you change your frequency? The first step: observe the body before you act. It's a more honest radar than the mind. Before sending that message, making that deal, or choosing a direction, breathe. Notice whether your action comes from trust or from panic. A simple rule: if it contracts, it's not aligned. If it expands, go ahead. Then replace unreachable affirmations with ones you can actually believe. Saying, "I'm a millionaire," while your field screams "liar," only creates more frustration. Instead, use statements that raise your vibration gradually, like, "I'm learning to feel safe with money. Today, I choose to trust a little more. I act with clarity even without all the answers." These create what's called a possible frequency, and that's where the field starts responding, with synchronicities, opportunities, unexpected openings. Another essential point: learn to tell the difference between intuition and anxious impulse. Intuition is calm, specific, direct. It whispers. Anxious impulse screams, demands immediate action, and leaves you drained. Learning to tell those two voices apart is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. You can use physical anchors to remind you where you need to be: a small object in your pocket, a touch on your wrist, a conscious breath before acting. Every time anxiety hits, return to the body, to the phrase, to the frequency. You don't need to be in bliss all the time. You just need coherence. To be in the place where your action meets peace, and to act from that peace. Because the universe doesn't respond to pretty words. It responds to clean presence. Clean presence is when you move without carrying fear in your pocket, when you enter a conversation without seeking approval, when you make a request, knowing that if it doesn't come through one channel, it'll come through another. That's when the game changes. Not because everything is suddenly solved, but because you become someone who doesn't need the answer to stay whole. There's a strange, almost magical moment that many have experienced without realizing why. You wanted something so badly, tried everything, gave your all, and nothing happened. But the instant you gave up trying, stopped chasing, it appeared. A phone call, a message, an unexpected solution. That wasn't coincidence. It was the sacred paradox in action. When you let go, everything comes. But be careful. Letting go isn't giving up. Letting go is stopping your interference in what's already on its way. It's releasing the weight of urgency, doubt, and control, allowing the field, which already received your intention, to organize the invisible movements your mind could never plan. What blocks the flow isn't lack of action, it's excess anxiety, the attempt to force results through fear. Every time you internally say, "This needs to happen now," you generate resistance. The field doesn't respond to need, it responds to vibrational coherence. When you grip too tightly, things slip. When you squeeze, you stir turbulence. But when you open your hands, space appears. And that's where results can land. That's why true surrender brings lightness. You feel that even without the answer yet, everything's okay. You can cook, laugh, walk, work with presence. And it's precisely in that state that the signs start to appear, because the field, now quiet, can finally reach you. This paradox might sound mystical, but it's deeply practical. It applies to money, relationships, health. When you chase love out of need, it runs away. When you vibrate confidence and wholeness, it comes closer. When you fight your body out of fear, it resists. When you offer it trust, it responds. It's not about pretending not to care, it's about remembering that what's truly yours never needs to be forced. And yes, there will be moments when your mind tries to pull you back into old patterns, checking your phone obsessively, rewriting the plan 1,000 times, doubting the path. When that happens, practice returning. Breathe, touch your body, repeat your anchoring phrase. Say to yourself, "It's coming, I don't need to chase." Your real power lies in the frequency you hold before anything happens, because that's what determines everything that follows. You don't need more effort, you need more space. Not more urgency, but more trust. Not more control, but more silent presence. That's the paradox. When you truly no longer need it, that's when it starts to arrive. Now that you've understood the reverse law, not just with your mind, but with your body and your field, it's time to apply it, and it doesn't have to be hard. Today, choose one single desire that's been taking up too much space in your mind. Write one clear, positive, and believable phrase about it. Something like, "This outcome is already on its way, and I trust the timing of the field." Then breathe, relax your body, release control. Do what needs to be done, but without carrying the weight of hurry. When anxiety returns, touch your anchor, an object, a breath, a memory, and say silently, "It's coming. I don't need to chase." You don't need magical promises. You need vibrational consistency. Reality doesn't bend to haste. It responds precisely to stability. If this message resonated with you, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it with someone ready to stop chasing and start being found by life. And in the comments write, "I release, I trust, and I receive." May that phrase become a silent code between you and the universe. From this moment on, life begins to chase you.